I am pissed. Hello guys, yeah, Luke here, and yeah, as you can see, I'm not in a very cheery mood today because this chapter did something that I didn't think that it was actually going to do. Properly pissed me off about one little element. Now, I know I'm normally the Promised Neverland defender, but this chapter I can't defend this actually. This was pretty much exactly the same response that I got when I found out that Ray survived his supposed suicide, and I was like, no, I was like, no for this as well, and we'll get into the moment, we'll get into it, but first things first, I just want to say, you see, Furman and Red, you see, and David to some extent, I can criticise the Promised Neverland when it's actually a legitimate criticism that needs to be addressed, and this element is actually one of them, and I will explain it as we go along. But anyway, this is chapter 165 titled You Can Fly, and yes, you can certainly fly, but can you actually get rid of the obvious ranting element I'm about to indulge in? Now, I know what the title of the chapter is actually representing. It's representing the fact that because this is an Isabella chapter, we finally find out what actually happened to her after she was like, I'll accept all responsibility for anything that happened to these 15 that actually got out of Gracefield House. And it's obviously referencing the fact that she could probably fly to freedom and all of that. That's probably the direction that they're going in with the tower, You Can Fly. But anyway, let's just dive right into the chapter so that I can get to the moment where I am going to rant in this chapter. Alright, so the chapter starts off with a recap of what happened at the end of the Escape from Gracefield House arc, where we have the caption that says, January 15th, 2046, 15 children, including two highest grades, escaped from Gracefield Farm. That was kind of a mouthful to actually get through there, but we see that Isabella is in a cell after she like accepted responsibility for what was going to happen, and she probably decided herself to die, to be sacrificed to the Cyphery for making such a huge error and a glaring mistake, as we see her in a cell, and it goes 2 days after the escape, January 17th, 2046. Hey, that would be 10 days after my birthday in that year. I just wanted to bring that up because I just love the fact that it takes place in the month that I was actually born, like the whole escape from Gracefield House and what actually happened to Isabella. So yeah, that is something I kind of enjoy, but that's not going to excuse when we get it. Literally happens like pretty much in the next couple of pages on the actual chapter, the moment that I'm actually going to rant about. But anyway, we see Isabella going over the flashback of what actually happened when she was like, I guess I've had enough, I'll take full responsibility, and she's kind of lamenting the fact that this is fine, now I can finally, Emma, Ray, everyone, and Leslie. Yeah, I think she's kind of like reflecting on the fact that now that this has happened, she can kind of see the bigger picture and see the fact that it was foolish of her to actually not think about escaping when she actually had the chance to escape. But Emma and Ray actually showed her the way of actually doing this, and that it was actually possible. And she feels like a sense of relief that, well, if somebody was going to do it, I'm glad it was them, and now I can finally be relieved of the pain that I feel from the guilt of not doing enough for Leslie when he was actually alive and actually escaping with him. Because if you remember, Isabella actually did love Leslie. I think she loved him more in the way of the sense that she actually legitimately loved him, and she felt guilt when he was sent off to be food for the Typhering. Because we've seen other scientists working with the demons, and we've seen what's happened with Norman, how he was actually adopted by Peter Attive to work with the experiments in Lombardy. There's a very possibility that Leslie may be alive somewhere out there, and they'll probably actually give some sort of redemption to Isabella, like actually having her reunite with Leslie at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually did that for a character, like give us some sort of redemption for all the shit that she's had to go through and all the suffering that she's had to actually force herself to partake in, even though she's kind of being a hypocrite in that regard. But now we get to the moment that I want to talk about. Yes, it did happen this early on, this moment that I was like, no, they haven't gone through with this. And it's this moment right here where Isabella is actually promoted to the position of the role of Grandma when they go 73584, start tomorrow, you'll be appointed to the role of Grandma, and she is just as in shock as like pretty much everyone else would be at this point, and she's like, huh? What's going on? Wait, why am I couldn't protect the merchandise, and I caused Planet 3 to be burnt down. So why am I being promoted to Grandma when Grandma is the one that should be the one in charge, and it's me. And it's this moment right here. Grandma Sarah, and yes, they actually do confirm that. Yes, that is her actual name, the grandma, the mysterious grandma that was in the shadows. But not for long. Grandma Sarah was responsible for everything. You couldn't control the merchandise, but she's the one who couldn't control you. Grandma Sarah will be shipped. She'll be served at the next Tavern in place of the merchandise you lost. Can you see why I'm ranting here? That Grandma Sarah, what was the point of hiding her eyes then? Like, seriously, guys, seriously, I have it right here. Let me get to it. Like, right here, yeah, I actually had the volumes that, yeah, right here. You see Sarah right there in the panel, completely in shadows, and then when she actually does appear, when Chrome's about to be shipped, or Krona, or I don't know, yeah, right here, you see her completely in shadows and everything, and I've completely forgotten to get the volume when she actually has the face of when she's actually berating Isabella for letting him escape. But anyway, guys, you get the picture. She's completely in shadows. Her face is covered up, and I thought, like, okay, they're obviously covering up her face for a reason. There's no way they're not going to address this, because from what I can understand, from the way I perceived it, is that they were setting up Sarah to be the final villain of the series, and it's like, and the reason why I was able to back this up is because if you've seen like Inspector Gadget or Avatar: Last Airbender, what was the one thing like Ozai and Dr. Claw had in common? Their faces were kept in shadows until like, well, Dr. Claw, you never saw his face, but Ozai, his face was kept in shadows until the final season, and then he was revealed, and then he could actually come out in full force. I thought they were going to do something similar to Sarah here, in the fact that, okay, there's a reason why they're covering her face, or at least covering up her eyes, because they want that to be a big reveal or something, because why else would they have it in shadows? But no, they just completely abandoned that, and then they're like, okay, we're going to ship her out in place of all of this, and we're just like, no, you don't do that! You don't set her up as like a potential threat, keep her in shadows or everything, keep her all mysterious, and then do nothing with it! Now, I've calmed down, guys. Now, does it make sense that Sarah was shipped out? Yes, it does. And now, I've just been like, wait a minute, Luke, you've just ranted about Sarah being shipped out. Why are you saying does it make sense? Now, because it does make sense from a logical standpoint, because she is the boss of Isabella, and it's like, okay, you're responsible for this mistake, but who's responsible for you? And Sarah is, and it's like she should be accountable. At least that's what I perceive the demons are perceiving here. It's like, okay, Isabella screwed up, but then Sarah was the one who thought that she could control her, and now that we know that she can't control her, she's the one who's going to be held accountable for everything. So yes, it does make sense, but at the same time, if you weren't going to do anything with that element of keeping Sarah's face in shadows, why keep them in shadows? Like, seriously, guys, that is a legitimate question. Why do that? Like I said, this is on point of one of the most bullshit moments in the series, right there with Rey surviving. Like, Rey should have died in that, like, or at least at the very least, they should have had that big hole explosion to make us think that Rey was dead. They should have just cut away, like what they did in the anime. That's the one thing I will praise the anime on, is that they didn't have the big hole explosion. They actually cut away as the match was falling. So at least that was something better. So at the same that we weren't thinking like, Rey is definitely dead at this point. There's no way he could survive that. So at least the anime did something good on that regard. But at the same time, these two moments are complete bullshit. And yes, if Furman wants to say that this was a bullshit moment, like 100% I agree with him. That this is like right up there as one of the most bullshit moments in the series. Now, as Isabella is going on and thinking about I'll become a grandma. She's actually coming to a realization in this regard, because she thought that because she was gonna accept all responsibility for everything that happened, she thought that she was gonna actually be free, and by free she meant she thought she was gonna die, so that her conscience could not have any more burdens on anything. But I feel like in this regard, Peter was actually playing it smart, because I feel like he kind of knew that she wanted to get out of this situation, and he was like, okay, she wants to be free, but she's never going to be free. She's still meat to the demons, and we've got to make sure that she does that. We have that clasp on her no matter what. And she goes on to say, I finally thought I could get out. I thought I could be free. I've had enough. At this rate, I'll return to hell. I would return to the hell I was in. I don't want to become grandma, because it's like she doesn't want to go back and relive the trauma of seeing basically people that she is part of going through the same treatment that she did over and over and over again. So it's a smart move on Peter's part to actually make Isabella a grandma, but at the same time it's complete bullshit what the authors did to Sarah, and just the wasted potential they had with her. As Isabella is reminiscing about everything she's been through, right from when she was shipped out to when she decided to become a mother to when she actually had to send off Connie. Yeah, I'm still not over that. Like, it's been nearly 4 years and I'm still not over that. But anyway, as she's reminiscing on all of these past events, we see Peter Rattari come in and say, it's too bad. I wish you would have been on our side, because you were born in this world as children to become food. Even someone with your talent would end up being their food. Obviously referring to the demons. And she's like, and as Isabella hears the words, this world, she's in complete shock, and this is probably because this is because this is the first time she's probably being hearing the phrase "this world," and it's probably the gears are getting turned in her head, like thinking like, wait a second, this isn't what it seems like. There's something else out there. That's probably the gears that she's getting turned in her head. As Peter goes on to say, "Have you really had enough? You don't know anything yet. You haven't obtained the future you want. Aren't you curious why there are humans who are eaten and humans who are not?" And even though I've just ranted about Sarah, like the fact that they've had Peter go completely in shadows here, like his face is completely black. Oh, that's just such a cool and creepy effect on his part. As he goes on to keep saying, "Do you want to get out for real this time? From this hell, from your destiny?" And this is actually completely shocking Isabella to her core, because she's like, I don't think she even processed this information. Like, wait a second, why are there humans outside that are not being eaten, but yet we're in here being eaten as well? Like, what's the whole point? What's the whole point of this? What's the whole point? She probably just got so settled into that system of just like being raised to be eaten, and then given the choice of being either eaten or becoming a mama. And she probably had that mentality since her childhood, since she was probably Emma's age, and she never actually questioned the status quo of like, why there are some humans that are not eaten, but yet there are some humans that are, and that kind of got her. And this is all being dumped on her at this moment in time, and she's like, just like, in what, and the face like she gives, like just like complete shock and denial, and like just trying to get her gears turning at like the whole situation that she's been in as being a lie, but she just can't seem to get a grasp on what's actually going on. Peter carries on and says, "You're just tired of how death is all around you. That's why you're trying to exit the stage, to kill yourself to end this." And yeah, that's kind of like, we kind of got that across from her facial expressions, of the fact that she thought that, right, now that I've accepted all responsibility, I can finally be moved on, and I can finally kill myself in order to relive this this curse that I've actually been suppressed in for. I believe Isabella is 32 here. Could be wrong. I'm trying to think of like what her age is, but I believe she's in her early 30s in this flashback. But anyway, Peter goes on to say, "Death won't save you. By no means is it the path to freedom." And again, this completely shocks Isabella. Like, what? Death? I thought if we died, then that was it. We didn't have to worry about anything ever again. Like, our souls could rest in peace. But I think like what Peter is actually trying to say here is that anyone who dies, like any human that dies, and the Teferi, their sacrifice to God, that means their soul as well. So like their soul is obviously in the demon god itself, and it's like there for eternal damnation, probably in the seven walls, and just inside that dragon. Like all the souls of everyone are inside that dragon that the demon god was actually riding on, that dragon with the one eye in the center of its face, and they're probably all consumed inside of their for their souls and their conscience to live there for eternity in damnation. That's probably what Peter is getting across here when he's saying that death is not the path to freedom in this context. Peter goes on to say that he'll give her true salvation and get her out of here if she only takes his hand and uses her brain for their sake to benefit them. And he'll even offer to take away her number and the chip in her chest, which is probably what happened to Sarah when she was actually offered the promotion to become grandma. And I think this is Peter's way of saying, like, this is true freedom. So you were able to do whatever you want without the worry of the demons actually eating you until something else is screwed up and we offer you up to the typhoid. But if you just keep in line and you do your job and do what you are, you're free to do whatever you want. And that's probably the intention that he's getting across here, which you have to admire Peter, that he does have his way with words. Like, he's got that silver tongue, and he's a master manipulator of manipulating people and kind of getting them to see his way, even though it's clear propaganda and he's clearly only doing this for his own selfish desires. He goes on to say, and this will give you true freedom, as we cut to the present day, November 13th, 2047, when we see Peter and Isabella like in a conference together, actually having a meeting with some more of Peter's clan, like those bodyguards in the suits and ties and just looking really sharp and sophisticated. And we see them just like giving the glare at each other. I don't know what this glare intends, but it's like they're probably thinking, like, Peter's probably thinking one thing and Isabella's probably thinking another, and they probably have conflicting ideologies that they just want to clash with each other. But Isabella's probably not letting go on, and she probably only took this freedom because it was probably the only chance that she could do in order to save her own skin, but also to kind of like try to convince Peter to like spare some of the kids from actually being sacrificed to the cow, and like thinking like they can be useful for them if we can convert them to our side. That's probably what she's intending, but she probably has her own agenda of like just getting the kids out of there again and probably betraying the Vitari clan. She probably thought like this was probably the only way that this would actually be physically possible for her. Peter carries on with talking to Isabella and says, Gracefield has impressive breeding results and an excellent harvest again this year, and thank you for the cooperation with Lambada. As Isabella goes, you're welcome. It's too bad about Lambada. And Peter responds, the essential data still remains. There is no problem, even though the facility was destroyed. So he's like, okay, even though the facility was destroyed, the fact that we have all the data means that that's not really a problem. We could just rebuild anywhere else. And the fact that he mentions that Isabella has been breeding excellent results in the past year, I feel that she's only doing that to kind of like work her trust up to Peter, so that he doesn't suspect anything. Although this could probably be completely out there, and we have no idea what Isabella's true intentions are, because she wanted to get that freedom one time, but but now that she knows that death isn't an option, this was the only way. Like, maybe she'll have some sort of ulterior motive in the back of her mind, and maybe this will probably give Sid suspicions about Isabella actually being a good guy deep down all along to come true. Which, by the way, going back, me and Sid made that whole video on Grandma Sarah being the final friend, and that was completely all for naught. It's like we made that way back in the day when Gracefield House was still going on, like the Escape from Gracefield House arc was still going on. Made that video all the way back in like 2016, 2017. Which shows just how far we've actually come in that sense, like moving back to Manchester, getting myself back up to speed, getting myself back into the reviews and everything, and still going strong to this day. But anyway, that's besides the point. The video we made now is completely out of the window, and I've long since deleted it. I've still got it on file, but I've long since deleted it from my YouTube page, and you'll probably not see it again at this moment in time. But hey, who knows in the future? We'll see what happens. But anyway, going back to the actual review itself, some of Peter's subordinates go, the Queen has passed away, and so have the lords and ladies of the 5 regiment houses. With the elimination of the aristocracy, they will change. From now on, it will be the era of Lambadar. Lambadar will come back. We will abolish the old high-cost, high-risk production line, and eventually unify all the farms in a new style of the Lambadar farms. Okay, so they basically want to like combine everything together to do God knows what they want to do on the kids and everything, but also like get a more productive without it being a high cost and a high risk to them. So basically they want to combine all the farms but make it seem 99% impossible for anyone to escape. I say 99% because Norman was able to escape from the original Lamborghini, but who knows, this new Lamborghini that they're probably planning will probably be a lot more sophisticated, so that it'd be 99.99999999999, basically 0.00000, like the slimmest of slimmest chances that they will escape, if ever. And as Isabella goes on, we see her like just we see her face like she's just like completely diminished, like she's not thinking about it. She's got that diminished look, like she doesn't actually care, and she's like saying, you're going to continue the current top class farms, including you're going to discontinue the current top class farms, including Gracefield. As Peter goes on, exactly, and I feel like the reason why she's so discontinued is the fact that she was appointed to be grandma. She didn't want it, but then Peter was like, I'm going to offer you freedom, and she was like, okay, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to take it, and now she probably feels like her position is just going to be completely invalid at this point, which again gets me thinking like she's probably got an ulterior motive, that she's going to backstab Peter for basically just like for basically the propaganda that he has been doing for God knows how long since he's been in charge of the Vitari clan. The subordinate goes on to say, when we achieve that, you will be free, Grandma Isabella. Really? You expect us to believe that Isabella is just going to be like, yeah, you're free, you can go out there. By right, no, they probably have something else planned for her. Like, by free we mean you're going to be the one that's going to observe everything from now on, or something like that. They probably don't intend to actually properly free Isabella. She's too valuable and she knows too much. So anything she says, if they actually were to free her into the human world, could lead to mass panic and anarchy for their side. So yeah, they probably have no intention of freeing her. Peter goes on to say, by the way, how's the shipping preparation of the children going? As Isabella goes, all will be ready soon. And Peter goes, then please finish plucking all of them by dawn. As he's like looking at that, please finish plucking them all by dawn, like that crazy smiley face, like, you are insane, man. Yeah, definitely insane. And he goes on to say, they'll arrive soon, probably by tonight or tomorrow. I want them to be done with the majority of matters by then. The current and remaining escapees. By the day after tomorrow, all of them will be in jars. Yes, they'll all be in jars, Peter. Yeah, you completely underestimate them. You completely underestimate the power of Emma, Ray and Norman. Now, that's not to say we shouldn't underestimate you, Peter, but at the same time, you're completely doing an Andrew here, saying that, yeah, even though they took down the 5 regiment houses, the Queen and everything, yeah, they're going to be in jars tomorrow. And it's like, really? Do you really expect us to believe that? As Peter says to Isabella, can you handle this? And Isabella goes, understood, sir. We cut back to all the kids, which are still tied up, with Anna crying as we see that Jemima is okay. And she goes, I'm sorry, Nat, everyone. Now, we don't find out exactly what happened, like what the exchange was after Peter threatened Jemima last chapter. So that's another thing I'm going to call bullshit on, that we never found out about that. But at the same time, it's not as major as what happened with Grandma Sarah, which again, I'm going to call bullshit. That was really fucking ridiculous. And I don't like to obviously swear in these videos, but at the same time, no, that is fucking bullshit what they did with Grandma Sarah. But anyway, Nate goes on to say, no, it's fine. At least we're all safe, as we see the door open and we see Isabella walk in and everyone's just like, Mom, like, they're just like, Mom, what's going on? What's happening? Like, why are we back here? Like, why your grandma? What's going on? Mom, just tell us some information. But all Isabella can do is just hug them and say, welcome back, my adorable children. And as Jemima is just bawling her eyes out at this moment in time, I believe it's Mark. Yeah, Mark goes, Mama, please let us treat Nate's fingers, please. And we see Nate actually just, I feel like he's, yeah, looking by the panel, he's like more scared of Isabella at this point because he is aware of what Isabella. Actually, no, he's not aware. Like, no, he's not aware of what Isabella did to Emma. Like, sorry, sorry, I forgot about that. No, but he's probably aware of, like, she's with Peter Atari and he broke my finger, like, properly broke it. So who knows what she is actually capable of? That's probably what she's at. What Nate's actually getting at here. As Isabella goes, "Oh my, how horrible, you poor little thing," and we see Isabella just do something with his, like, okay, just like, okay, his fingers about, and then she just like just puts so much pressure on it that they probably just snap back into place basically. And we see Nate just trying to hold in place like that, and Isabella's like, okay, they're back to normal. Should be good enough to serve nicely without it being an issue. Now then, we're going to start disposing of all of you in order. Choose the first 10 first. And at this point, they're just like, dispose? That everyone's just like freaking out at this point. It's like, dispose first 10? Like, it's all hopeless at this point. As we see Toma and Limey going, oh, it's over for this time for sure. Emma, Ray. But as soon as they say that, there's like a buzzing sound that goes off. As we see everyone just like going around like, what's happening here? What's happening here? As we see a manhole cover open up, and we see Emma, Ray, and Norman emerge from it with guns, ready to come and kick some ass and take back everyone. And that's where the chapter ends. So, yes, guys, very brief chapter this week, but very much deserving of a video, especially that rant that I did at the beginning. Now, my guess here is that not everyone is going to make it out. Like, I've been saying this for so long that not everyone's going to make it out. And if I had to pick, it would be Toma, Limey, Nate, and Anna to be the ones that don't make it out, because out of the ones that are actually there, and possibly some of like the Goldie Pond lot, like sort of like Paula and Sonia. I believe Sonia is in there as well. So I see like those 6 being the ones to actually not making out, because even though they haven't had as much time as some of the others like Oliver, Zach, and Gillian, and Nigel, the fact that they've still had some significant screen time to show that, okay, yes, they are relevant. We've gone to know them a little bit, so it would be kind of impactful. But out of the 3 main ones here, I can see either Norman or Emma being the ones to die. Like, either one of those 2, that wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, guys, this chapter, I'm kind of like debating whether or not I do like it despite that flaw, but it's a very big flaw, and I'm probably going to need some time to think it off and think of it of like, is this a good chapter in of itself, despite the rage that I felt from Grandma Isabella being actually shipped out and not getting to know her as an individual that we deserve to actually know her. And I'll need 2 weeks to that, because as we see, it says next chapter, it hits February 9th, so this week there's no Promised Neverland this week, which is kind of surprising. It makes me think that Shonen Jump are actually giving their authors time off now. Like, they're actually giving them like, okay, they deserve a break. Like, every once in a while they deserve a break now. And I've gotten this feeling from like Dr. Stone, My Hero Academia, and Promised Neverland. Like, they're the 3 that I've kind of seen that like getting the older treatment. And I can only think of 2 reasons. One is that they're thinking more about them as authors and actually giving them time off, or 2, they're trying to stretch it out a bit more because they know that Promised Neverland is ending soon, and they're trying to just stretch it out as much as possible to keep it in the magazine because it's such a popular series. But that's just me being a conspiracy theory. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know, like, subscribe, comment, and all that jazz. And this will be Lasha Luke signing off. Later, guys!